the 95X FM studios, exclusively on Fox 24. You are watching the UTPB Coaches Show with UTPB football head coach Chris McCullough.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Chris McCullough Show. I'm your host, Monty Montgomery, and of course with me as always is the head coach of the University of Texas Permian Basin Falcon football team, Chris McCullough. Coach,
well, hello,
how are you?
Monty.
How are you, sir?
It's been a heck of a week. I'm excited to be here and excited to get on a plane tomorrow.
Get on a plane tomorrow and go to Washington State. But first, why don't we review the Angelo State game? Tell us what happened there, Coach.
Yeah, we for the first 23 minutes of the game, nobody scored, and it was just a defensive battle. We obviously fumbled and scooped and scored a touchdown, got them started, and they never stopped after that. On the 7th play of the game, we lost our offensive captain, our team leader, Dylan Graham.
He's out for the year?
Lost him for the year. So that's always a not so planned event that you kind of got to try to figure out how to approach the rest of the game with two youngins, both who had been here on campus for about 2 months, and try to piece together an offense with two guys that just don't have the experience in this system. And we didn't do a great job of that, obviously.
Christian Kapua, who is a transfer from Cisco Junior College, who is from Houston, and then Isaac Mooring, who is a true freshman from Klein Cain High School, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so Christian got here on day 3 of fall camp, and obviously Isaac was a guy we had signed in February and a guy we were highly in love with, who's going to have a special career here. His dad is a good friend of mine, and his dad is the defensive line assistant at the University of Texas, who's obviously the #1 team in the country right now. I have a big game Saturday at the Cotton Bowl.
A little bit.
But, talking to him, he's excited for his son's opportunity now. And, Dylan's been in that coach role before last year, watching Kenny, and he's right back at it, just from a scooter this time. But I was proud of the guys. The team kind of rallied behind Christian Kapua and Isaac Mooring during that time. No backup or third string thinks that they're going to play in a big game like that specifically. And when it happens on the 7th play of the game, it's you kind of just get thrown into the fire.
Sink or swim, huh?
Sink or swim, and I didn't do a great job of preparing either one of them for that moment, because you never know that moment's going to come. But as a head coach, I now will always make sure the second string and the third string are prepared more than I did this game, for sure.
Yes, sir. So Christian Kapua is a redshirt junior, has a little more experience, a little more life experience, if you will. Isaac is a coach's kid, like Kenny Hernzer, and there's something intrinsic about football knowledge, into genetics, I think, with coaches' kids. Which one gets the nod, do you think, for Saturday, if I may ask?
Yeah, well, like you said, both of them are very good kids, and Kapua has the experience at Cisco, started there last year, and Isaac, being a coach's kid, has that kind of swagger and moxie about him that he just carries every single day. So either one of them would be great and ready for the task this week. We're going to start the true freshman, Isaac, and that's kind of who we're going to roll with the rest of this season. But you could see both of them playing both in this game and the rest of the season.
So Isaac is a left-hander, or a southpaw, if you will. How do your wide receivers have to adjust for a left-handed quarterback, Coach?
Well, I mean, the ball spins completely opposite of the right-handers, but it doesn't play that much of a role. He definitely throws it different than Dylan. Dylan didn't have as much velocity on his throws. The biggest thing is you got to get the timing of the receivers on certain throws, certain timing throws. And it took all week this week to get that done. But I thought today's practice was probably our best practice this week. And the lefty had a really good day today, both mentally and just execution-wise. The offense has rallied behind them. The defense has rallied behind them, and they have all spoken their praise of him and that they got his back no matter what. And we've dealt with a lot of injuries this year, 8 starters so far through the first 6 games, and it's one of those years that I've never had as a head coach, but you just got to keep rolling with the punches. This is a special group of guys that, on senior day next week, we got 19 guys walking, but only 6 of those are starters. So when you have that many guys coming back next year, we have a real opportunity the next 5 weeks, next 5 games to develop these guys and really set us up for the future.
So just so our fans know, in Division II football, you get the equivalency of 36 full-time scholarships, but they can all be partials. Whereas in Division I, you get 85 full rides, and they all have to be full rides. So that really affects your depth.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Absolutely. I mean, 36 scholarships, you really break it down. The way I do it is you got 17 for offense, 17 for defense, and 2 for special teams. So with that, quarterback, you're probably going to spend about 2 equivalencies. Offensive line, you're probably going to spend 6 or 7 equivalencies, and so on and so forth throughout the program. So it's definitely a little bit easier at Division I when you have 85 scholarship players because you're kind of recruiting at the same level of players across the board, whereas Division II, you got 36 scholarships. You may have some guys on, let's just say $10,000 and some guys on $1,000, which obviously the money they get scholarship-wise is usually what their talent level is coming in. And then they develop and grow and mature as leaders. But everybody has to deal with that at this level. And, going back to the Angelo game, I thought they did a great job of sticking with their game plan. Going 23 minutes, nobody scored. And then Angelo kind of got on a roll in that second half offense. It started with the 86-yard run by their quarterback. Their quarterback had 146 yards rushing, 86 of that on one play, but all of their running backs had less than 10 yards. Our defense did a phenomenal job of holding them to 280 yards, only 112 through the air. I thought our defense played really, really well. We just were awful on third down conversions. We were 3 of 18. And that's the worst I've had as a play caller. And there's no excuses for that besides I got to be better. We had obviously 11 penalties for 114 yards. And no matter if it's a good call, bad call, or indifferent, you kind of got to obviously address that with the team. But we have to be better in those key moments. Now, the conference admitted to some of those being bad calls or missed calls. And, it directly probably reflected on 21 points that Angelo scored, which would have been a 15-7 ball game late in that game. But we can't blame the refs. We can't blame the calls. All we can blame is ourselves and look in the mirror and say we got to be better.
The quarterback for Angelo, I ran into his dad at a restaurant after the game, and I asked him if he knew that he was that fast, and he said, we thought he was. He said, I guess when you have those guys chasing him, it makes him faster. And I talked to Rock, the linebacker, Jalen Rockmore, and he told me he was clocked at 21.5 miles per hour chasing that quarterback and could not catch him, which does not happen very often.
No, that kid definitely got a good block on the perimeter, and he found a way to score 86 yards.
All right, let's take a break on that note. We'll be back on the other side. This is Chris McCullough Show on 95X. And we're back with the Chris McCullough Show here on 95X. I'm your host, Mon Montgomery. Of course, with me is the head coach of the University of Texas Permian Basin Falcon football team, Chris McCullough. Coach, let's talk about the things you liked about the game.
Yeah, I thought the guys did a great job of responding to, obviously, the adversity of losing starting quarterback right there on the seventh play. There was never any negativity on the sideline. There was never any wavering of, nobody gave up, nobody stopped fighting. When we had to put in our second or our third string quarterback, the guys stayed together and rallied together through that. So I really liked that. I liked our defensive performance on third down, holding them to 5 of 14. I liked our defense's effort in the pass game, and literally all but one run, they held them to 2 yards of carry. So I was proud of them and their fight. And, our possession time was great. We had 31 minutes of possession and had 71 plays offensively. We just didn't get it done inside the 40. We got inside the 40 4 times and didn't have anything capitalized on it. I thought that obviously Isaac having his first collegiate touchdown was awesome to Ben Patterson late in that game, and I thought our pass protection was pretty good against a really stout Angelo State defensive line.
Things you didn't like and need to fix or address.
Yeah, I think for me personally, just preparing a true freshman quarterback to start his first game. That's been our key focus all week. Mine and Kenny Herntzer and Blake Crandall are two offensive coordinators, just getting him prepared and ready to go, and then just rallying the troops to finish the season strong, right? Like last year at this time, we were 5-1 and kind of rolling and had a groove, where at this point we're 3-3, and sometimes it feels like the sky's falling. It's not the expectations we had on this season or what we wanted this season to be. I told the staff today, we're 3 plays away from this season being 6-0. Literally 3 plays changed the course of everything, obviously with Dylan's injury, the pick 6 at Pueblo, and then just a misinterpretation of a signal against Kingsville, and it changes everything. So there's such a small margin for error in this game that makes this game so great, right? That's why Vanderbilt beat Alabama. That's why Arkansas beat Tennessee. This game, every single week, you never know what's going to happen, and that's what makes this such a great game. But I think we're going to have that true freshman prepared and ready to go.
So, offensive, defensive, and special teams players of the game.
Yeah, offensive, Isaac Mooring obviously coming in that third quarter and kind of putting, obviously, the adversity aside and having a solid first real showing in the game. I thought he did a good job, obviously. First collegiate touchdown. Ben Patterson was great on offense. That's really it on offense. On defense, I was proud of Exline. I mean, he just continues to shine.
Amazing player.
9 tackles against a really, really good offense. He's Hayden Kelly 2.0 is all he
Special,
is.
I think, is coach speak, isn't it?
Very, and he's really taken in more of a leadership role. These last 5 games, we kind of passed the torch from Jalen Rockmore to Tristan Exline. This is his team of the future, and let's let Exline be the guy right now, and he's taking full ownership of that, and I love that. Special teams, Rafael Vargas has done a phenomenal job punting all year. I think he's going to be a second-team all-conference punter. So proud of the work he's done, and he deserves the special teams player of the game.
So as we switch our focus to Central Washington, they had the preseason Offensive Player of the Year and Tyler Flanagan, the running back, and the preseason Defensive Player of the Year, the Cliff Harris Award winner for top defensive back in the nation in Division II, Tanner Volk. Let's talk about them, please.
Yeah, well, starting with their coach, I mean, he's just a phenomenal coach, and what he's been able to do since taking over there to really propel Central Washington into a playoff likely. I mean, every single year they're battling for a playoff spot. So he's done a phenomenal job. Chris Fisk is his name. Does a wonderful job. Great man, too. We talked yesterday, and the first thing he says is, I really hate when you call me, because every time your name pops up, all it shows is a trophy with you and your wife and son. So I may have to call him a few more times before we play on Saturday.
Trophy call.
Just so he sees that. But he's one of the best O-line coaches in the conference, if not in the country at this level. He coaches the offensive line along with head coaching duties. And, man, it starts up front. They have 5 guys returning from last year that started last year. They were really good last year. They're even better this year. Good athletic quarterback who actually started against us last year, struggled. Like you said, they had the preseason offensive player, preseason defensive player of the year. But their running back, I mean, he totes the rock and does a really good job and doesn't get tackled easily. He's more of a linebacker than he is a running back. He's a pretty thick kid. Good ball-skilled receivers. They do a great job of creative play calling. I think last year they were a little more vanilla, and you kind of could game plan against that, and we did that obviously when we played them. But this year they're much more creative and they much more exotic, different looks and different play calls. On defense, D-line is very good, very talented. All of them are returning from last year's team. They're going to create havoc, and they run a lot of stunts and twists up front. They only blitz 6% of the time. So they just trust their front four to get the job done, and they do that.
Do you expect them to blitz more with a freshman quarterback?
No, that's not who they are. That's not their identity. If they do, we'll be ready. Obviously, it starts with Tanner Volk in the back end. He's not having the season he had last year. Obviously, his only interception came against West Texas, where it was just a gift wrapped perfectly for him with a nice little bow that he took to the house. But
everybody knows who he is this year.
you know who he is, and you always know where he's at on the field. So they do a phenomenal job just coaching and getting those guys prepared. And then they're aggressive. They got an onside kick against WT. They're probably going to do some fakes tomorrow and some things to get the ball and get more possessions tomorrow or Saturday as well.
All right, we're going to take a break. Be back on the other side. This is Chris McCullough Show on 95X. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with the Chris McCullough Show here on 95X. And, Coach, it's time to the 3 keys to victory for our game against Central Washington this Saturday.
Yeah, I think it all starts with the quarterback. I think we got to get the freshman quarterback in a groove and get him comfortable. It's a hostile environment. It's a night game on the West Coast, basically an 8 o'clock kickoff. It's going to be 55 degrees, a little bit different than out here in West Texas. They have a really good band. They have a great crowd. I'm sure they're going to have 4,000 or 5,000 strong and pack it out.
Yep.
He's facing a really good defense for his first start in his career. So just got to get him in the groove and get him calmed down early in this game. I think our defense has to stop the run. We got to keep them under 200 yards of rushing. You know, they're second in the conference in rushing right now at 264 yards a game. So they're kind of dominating the trenches right now. And then this is kind of two-part. We got to be 50% on third down. We got to be 100% touchdowns in the red zone. We got to take care of the football and just dominate the turnover margin. I think last year when we played this game, we had 300 yards rushing, 200 yards passing, and they could not stop our offense. and Jeremiah Cooley kind of took over the game late in that game. So I'm looking for Jeremiah Cooley to do a lot of the same this year, and Corey Harris, and just feed them and see how far our best players can take us.
So, any special things for a trip of this length and this far for the game, or is it just standard travel issues?
Standard travel, but when you get to play a West Coast game, it's a lot of these kids have never either flown or never been on the West Coast. I've never been on the West Coast, so this is the farthest west I've ever been. So I'm excited. I'm treating it kind of like a mini vacation,
Right.
Until kickoff. You get to eat really good food, Minor Cafe, which is a famous burger joint there. All of our guys are already talking about the milkshakes. We get to eat Outback Steakhouse the night before, and then just have a good time with game night and some team bonding the night before, and then we get to go face the number 7 team in the country and see what we got.
Well, having been there once before, we didn't have success there like we did last year, and it is a tough place to play, but it's a gorgeous part of the country. It's the center, it's in the Yakima Valley, and that is where all the apples are grown, the grapes for wine, and 77% of the hops grown for beer brewing are grown there. So it's a big ag area, and it's just gorgeous.
Absolutely, and I'm sure they have a good time with all that stuff as well.
Absolutely. We're going to take a break, come back on the other side for our final thoughts. This is the Chris McCullough Show on 95X. And we're back with the Chris McCullough Show. I'm your host, Monty Montgomery, and I've got Coach Chris McCullough with me. And Coach, we're down to the final segment of the show. Final thoughts.
Yeah, so sitting at 3-3, we're going on a long road trip to the number 7 team in the country, and what better opportunity to really get the season back on track than to go knock off the number 7 team in the country. Obviously got a freshman quarterback, and it's going to be fun to see his growth and his development over these next 5 weeks. We talked to the team today about how the mind is such a powerful tool, right? Every single day when we wake up or when anything bad happens, we have a choice to make. Do we have positive thoughts and a positive mindset, or do we take it as a negative mindset we all have to wake up in the morning and on Saturday and decide to have positive mindset about everything. You know, our luck has not been great this season, but we just got to continue to develop and grow this program into what we want it to be. Year one was not supposed to be Lone Star champs. It did. It happened. But year two's not going exactly how we had planned. But a lot of year twos and programs aren't at 3-3 as well. So we're gonna take every day and just try to go 1-0 and enjoy the family culture that we have built here.
All right, and that wraps up this edition of the Chris McCullough Show. We have pregame starting at 7:30 Central, kickoff at 8, and tonight's program will be rebroadcast in the video format on Fox 24 after the Friday night college football game. We appreciate everybody joining us. Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Falcons up, everybody.